review. Book review. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we'll be doing a book review. No, but for real. Book review time. Yay, book review. Today we got Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. I hope that's how you say his name. Anyways, this book I bought probably about a month ago at a Barnes & Noble. I've been to a Barnes & Noble. I haven't been there in a long, long time. So I was like, might as well get a book. And I learned about this book 3 years ago from, this is when Snapchat Explorer was first created. And one of the people on there posted a picture of this book, and they're like, this book changed my life. I was like, I saw it, and I was like, nah, today I'm changing my life. So, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So this book is broken up into 6 lessons, and each lesson is a chapter, and then at the end of the book, Robert talks about how to implement these 6 lessons. The premise of the book is that Robert is lives in Hawaii, and him and his buddy both want to make some money as kids. And so, they try a couple things, and it doesn't really work out. But he eventually learns that his friend's dad is actually very rich. So he has his friend's dad teach him how to make money. So the whole premise of the book ends up being the 2 ideas from his dad, which is the poor dad, and then his friend's dad, which is the rich dad, and how those ideas interact with each other and how that makes the wealthy and middle class people. So the first lesson is rich people don't work for money. The whole idea of this first lesson is that rich people use their money to make more money. It's not necessarily you need money to make money. He's just saying they have money work for them. So he worked selling Xerox machines, I believe. So he would take his money that he made and buy investments. So he would buy rental properties, or he'd buy long-term investments of some sort, something that would generate him income. And then he used all that money to buy a new Porsche. And all of his coworkers were like, hey, dude, how did you afford a Porsche? And he's, and they think that he's just been working really hard. In reality, he used his money to make more money. Then he used that money to buy a new car. So the second lesson is all about why Robert teaches financial literacy. And his philosophy is that it's not about how much money you make, it's how much money you keep and for how long you keep it. There's there's a lot of stories about people growing up in wealth and quickly spending and losing all their money. And the truly rich families are the ones that are able to keep that money for generations and generations. And he wants to be able to teach his kids how to keep the money that he's created. The third lesson is mind your own business. What Robert is saying about this is focus on your assets and not your income. Just like when he was working for Xerox selling machines, he focused on his assets, growing his assets, so he could buy liabilities. And that made his income statement larger because he had more assets. Whereas his coworkers were jealous, trying to keep up with the Joneses at the end of the block. And therefore, they weren't as wealthy as he was. The fourth lesson is all about the history of taxes. Let's take a quick word from our sponsor, V8. Cheers. So the fourth lesson was all about taxes. He talks about how taxes were originally created to tax big corporations, the wealthy people, and over time it trickled down into taxing the middle class and then the lower class as well. And today, taxes, the people who have the most money are the ones who lose the least amount, who keep the most. So he's saying that the people who pay the least in taxes are the ones who are actually the richest because they understand this system, which I thought was really interesting. And he talks about how using a corporation is a good way to protect yourself from taxes. Lesson number 5 is the rich invent money. This idea was a little obscure to me when I was reading it, but I think it proves a very good point. Robert's thought is that if you sit your whole life waiting for the perfect opportunity, when that opportunity comes, you won't be able to see it because you don't understand what the perfect opportunity is, or you won't know how to act on this perfect opportunity because you have no experience. Robert's thought is that if you go out and make yourself opportunities, you have all these opportunities already created, and then on top of that, when the perfect opportunity comes, you know how to act on that opportunity. The sixth and final lesson is work to learn. Now, when Robert was younger, he joined the military for a while, and he became a pilot, and he became a sailor, because those were two things that he wanted to learn. And eventually he decided this wasn't for me, so he got a new job at an oil rig, and learned all about that field, and quickly realized that wasn't for him either. But what he continued to do was at each job he would learn something new of why and how the world worked and how to better invest his money for himself. So those are the 6 lessons. I just kind of very briefly talked about them. Didn't really give a lot of detail, but they're basically just talking about Robert's philosophies on how money works, how to invest money, how to save money, how to make more money. It's a really good book, honestly. But then at the end of the book, he goes in to talk about how to act on these 6 lessons. And my favorite quote from the entire book is this: "The most common form of laziness is being busy. Too busy to check on your health, your relationships, and your finances." And you may be thinking, what does that even mean? But take a second and think about all the people who are crazy busy in your life. Now, there's some of them who are very, very good at what they do, and they do an amazing job. But there are a lot of people who the only reason they're busy is because they're trying to distract themselves from something else in the world. I won't lie. I have a lot of this at times. I'm like, I distract myself with video games, and I'm like, oh, I'm too busy to clean my room. It's usually what it is. But as you get older, you have a family or whatever, and you start to try and fill that time. she don't have to deal with a lot of those issues. And so I try and take that idea in everything I do, that make sure I'm being busy for the right reason, not because I'm trying to distract myself from something going on in the world. So the final chapter of the book is Robert telling people, hey, take action on these ideas. Take action on what you read. Make a financial decision. Make an investment decision. Make a life decision. Is it just changing how you wake up? Changing the way you act? Whatever it may be. And for me, I was like, okay, I think I'll try something. So I invested in Bitcoin miners. And those are a good asset, as Robert would say, because they make me money. And on top of that, when they're all done, I get something out of it, which is graphics processing units, GPUs. So I would, at the end of the day, I'll encourage you to read this book. I won't lie. It did get a little boring towards like chapters 7, 8, 9, right at the very end there. But overall, it was a really good book. 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 would recommend. Anyways, that's all I got time for today. I hope everyone enjoys the rest of your day. Peace out.
The dollar is our god.
She got a tattoo of my middle name. I'm fantasizing, but I never play. Well, I wanna know why, baby, we don't get along. No quick obsession between love and hate. Well, I get it, I'm jaded, keep spending my money on shit I don't need, but I can't even say no. I'm changing the minute you say that you want me. Till then I'm cold, pockets full, but heart is broke. Like, hey, I don't really need a new love. I'm okay, keep it written on my tombstone.